Leave me alone!
Fear and Hunger.
Fear and Hunger!
Fear and Hunger.
I am a consumer of YouTube, and through YouTube, I have discovered a vast array of movies, video games, books, and many other forms of media. Through my exposure to this region of the internet, I have discovered Fear and Hunger, a series of games with a reputation for being overtly graphic, punishing, and bizarrely poignant. I was intrigued by the numerous story, theory, philosophy, and lore videos I've seen, but was very reluctant to experience the game for myself, thinking that this is a game that I should just stand by and watch to experience from the sidelines rather than experience for my own. After arguing with myself for quite some time, I decided to buy the game. I was very anxious to play the game. The thought of a game that was even harder than Dark Souls really bothered me. What if I get so angry at this game? What if I was too impatient for this? I decided to put the game on my backlog at the moment, deciding that I'm not mentally ready for the game yet.
I was actually playing the post game of Megaton Musashi Double.
Megaton Musashi W, which was terribly balanced, by the way. And both games are still bizarrely in my head for some reason. And in the back of my mind, I thought I should try it. Just to know how it feels to play. Is it really going to be that bad? I began thinking of the games, not even having playing them yet. Deep within my mind was something telling me I'll enjoy the experience, and somehow I needed it. My curiosity getting the best of me and hearing the sequel is much more beginner friendly, I went ahead and checked the community posts of Fear and Hunger 2 Termina in Steam and see a lot of amazing art, videos, interesting discussions. The thought came into my head, would it really be terrifying? And then I saw a gif of one character who is implied to be connected to a character from the previous game, shooting the face of one of the game's antagonists. Wow, cool. I never seem to hear anyone talk about that. So I went ahead and played Termina. So what was the game about? The game starts with 14 people on a train to the city of Preheville. Depending on who you have as the main character, their reasons will differ from being hired to do a job, uncovering the truth, to confronting a parental figure. And then, while on the train, they all fall asleep and see a dream. A dream where a little girl in pink leads them somewhere only to be trapped by a disturbing naked maniac. The game then gives you the option if you want to beat the guy or just go sit down and make some cubes. You are then transported to a very important location from the first game, surrounded by a delegation of giant figures only to be pulled into another dream by Perkele, a mysterious figure who introduces themselves as a servant of the moon god Rare, a trickster god that reveals truths within a person's fears. Or, that's what the wiki says. Perkele then informs the 14 contestants to come to the tower at the end of the city and that the 14 must become one. You are also given 3 days until something happens. After your chosen character wakes up, they separate into the city after introductions with different goals, only to be met by the horrors that have invaded the town. You have been trapped in a terrifying situation. On my first playthrough, I picked Abella because she's awesome And also, I heard that she has the easiest route to be able to save everyone in the game. That was kind of true, but it doesn't really make the game easy. Your runs mostly depend on looting crates, barrels, and bookcases, in which the items you receive early in the game will decide the course of how the game continues. Termina's gameplay is very similar to the first game, but with a few differences. You see, in the first game, all crates and chests contain items. Armor stands, weapon racks, and displays need you to correctly guess a coin flip, or else you get nothing. Chests in the first game does have a coin flip, but if you guess the coin flip wrong, it still gives you an item. In Termina, there are displays of armor and weapons, but they are very, very rare. They are mostly relegated to guaranteed items. The chests, if you fail the coin flip, give you absolutely nothing, and even if you guess right, the items are still randomized, and you may get items like bullets or shillings or some item that you don't need anymore. Like if you have too many helmets or something. The bookcases in Termina, in my opinion, carry the most important items in the game. Manuals and books. You can get a book that turns specific ritual circles in the city into a save point, or a book that can restore all injuries and even severed limbs, or even a book that grows white trees that open new pathways around the city, giving access to different items or shortcuts to locations in the game. Or maybe even you can get a manual on creating healing items from herbs, Resident Evil style. Or, you can just get a poster with Hercules' stupid f***ing face. Okay, now let's talk about saving the game. Saving the game has always been a specific mechanic in Fear and Hunger. In the first game, clearing the area you're in of enemies will make the beds safe to sleep and rest. But unlike the first game, Termina runs on a day and night cycle. Saving gets you closer to the game's 3-day deadline, advancing the game's time to evening, to night, then to the next day at morning, progressing the game's story and events on their own, which may lock you from specific endings or the chance to recruit characters, or much worse, moonscorch them. The influence of the moon god Rare, getting to them and transforming them into twisted, terrifying forms. And I have to be honest, thought of such a terrible event struck my anxiety-ridden brain on an intense level. And with this, I have to share something. It was always been a great fear of mine to lose myself, to become not me anymore. From possession to transformation, zombification, it was always a terrible, terrible fear that I had within myself. And one of the times this fear was triggered for me were from a character I saw from childhood. Are you familiar with the anime character named Noroi? Noroi, or Curse in English, is a character from the anime Flame of Recca, a shonen anime about a dude that controls fire. Noroi is a muscular dude that wears absolutely nothing but a silver faceless helmet with hair. So it fits with Fear and Hunger, I guess. The helmet's name is Bakuju. The Bakuju gives the wearer immense strength in exchange for their own faculties. The wearer slowly losing themselves, their memories, their personality, everything who they were, until there is nothing but the Bakuju. But hey, it's just a helmet. It's not like it can fly itself into your head. Yes, it can! So while playing the game as Bella, I just ran normally. And sadly, a character died because I protected two other characters from being shot. And I didn't know that everyone I bring to the final dungeon, quote unquote, dies with your chosen character. It was kind of fun to fumble around the game. So I asked myself a question. Is it possible for me in particular to be able to save all the characters in the game without using the one character with the caressing soul as the main character? So I made a new file and picked Dan because he seems cool and not the one with the most tragic character backgrounds I've ever seen. So in the intro, I picked as honestly as I can and received loving whispers, and I forgot what else I did because this essay only started brewing in my head at the third attempt in Old Town. When the game started, I went to the bunker to recruit Abella straight away and then went to the manor. I was then struck with a horrible realization. You cannot save Henrik if you save the Abella. Then I remembered something. When I was playing as Abella, I saw Tanaka die in the hands of Needles, the maniacal giggling clown. So I avoided Tunnel 7 until I can deal with him. But when I got to town, I thought, what if I kill the clown? Will Tanaka be saved? So with the power of a can of gas and the lantern, I burned the bastard to death. And in the evening, after recruiting another character, I head back to the bunker and voila! Tanaka is not there and Tanaka is alive. And I thought, does this work for other characters? What if I can reach ending A and avoid any events that would happen that can kill characters? So I made a plan. What if I somehow get a Venushka skin Bible or a small key in where I can either use one part of the sewers to go into the city or go to the Maiden Forest and risk going at the back of the city where a mob of crazy citizens randomly spawn to ruin any unprepared player's day. So naturally, I never got a key, and two people are not enough to force the gate open. So, to the Maiden Forest we go, in where cultists that shoot poison darts from far away when activated the battle with, in a few turns, someone stands to peck away at your head, instantly killing a character and ending a possible run. And in 5 hours, I somehow got lucky after a few agonizing tries. I then rushed to the bar and used the ritual circle to draw a save point with the Funger symbol. I was even able to recruit Levi, saving him from being attacked by another contestant on the afternoon of the first day. Everything is going great. Things seems to be going well. Rushing to the church, I was hyped after saving Samari for the first time. Immediately afterwards, in a frantic blitz, I ran straight back into the sewer and headed for Tunnel 4 and faced Moonless to take Black Steel, connect the second terminal to Logic, run back to Domex Orphanage, looting an extremely rare Book of Enlightenment, killing every Rontil in the schoolyard trenches to get their pearls, get the Hunger effigy, rush through the moldy apartments, and get the final effigy to open the tunnels that leads through the museum. And in a few seconds, Rancid throws 2 spears on Levi and ends him. That run was 80 minutes. And it was ended in 10 seconds. Just because I decided to ignore the phobia symbol on Levi, which shows that he is extremely vulnerable to Rancid's attacks. So I load up the save again. And this time, I'll save Osa from Tunnel 1 and with his help, get through Rancid. I defeated Rancid, leave my party at the bar, sleep until night to recruit Marina, get engraved with agility, beat her doppelganger, getting enough heads for another Book of Enlightenment. I get to the final bunker, take Black Phillip with me for some reason, only for my body to be destroyed completely by the platoon over and over because clearly I did something wrong. So with the power of Bites the Dust, I go back in time and reload it from the save I made in the bar. This time, shooting the stupid grin out of Needles' face, going directly for Levi, and then recruiting Osa in Tunnel 1, decimating Rancid, running through the tunnels, and with the help of Blacksteel's legendary critical rate, the Igai Getsu amulet, and the Leechmonger's ring, and the hardened heart that saves you from death only once. I have no idea how people are able to make themselves invincible with this thing. Finally, I reached the Yellow King until... August? Wait, no, you're not supposed to be in here. What are you doing? Oh my god, he's shooting Kaiser? Wait, what the... Why are you dead? I had no idea what I did. But somehow, after reaching the bunker alone and beating the platoon and reaching the Yellow King, August appears and gets cut down, making my attempt another failure. I even checked the wiki, and apparently this should only happen if I tell him that I saw Kaiser in the city. And checking back with all the recorded footage that I have, I haven't seemed to have talked to August about Kaiser even once. So then I loaded again, did everything as I did before, but August still appeared to assassinate Kaiser. Did I do something wrong? Was there something that I did or didn't do? It looks like at this point, I have to go back to the beginning of the game where I was able to get the Venushka book, or worse, back to the beginning. It was really starting to bother me. Was the game just not allowed to let you save all of the contestants? I have to know. So I did do it all again, this time going for Blacksteel first, saving Samari, shoot down the clown, beat the dead horse, recruit Osa, just not asking about the arrow, and guess what? August still appears to die fighting Kaiser in the bunker. I tried over and over, even passing up to the second day, but even after beating the final boss, Henrik was still turned into the gentleman and eventually died. Even without my intervention, I was unable to save all 13 contestants. I'm not naive. I know that in the real world, tragedies happen, and cruelty is the language that the adult world converses with you with. You're tasked to do impossible things, and even when you do your best and produce positive results, the people above you will always find a way to take away even the smallest sense of security and confidence you build. But somehow, to them, people won't comply to words, and Fear and anxiety is the only way to keep people productive and in line. I know that I'm stealing this line, but I can't just sit down and take all the pain and mental abuse. I have to try. I want to try and hold to the very little light in my soul. To fight for the little security I was able to earn for myself. That amidst all the cruelty, I can find a way to survive. But that's not my entire point. I know I just bombed you with a ton of spoilers about this game, and though it does ruin some of the mystique this game has to offer, and from what I have experienced, these did not ruin my experience with the game. Remember, I played this game after watching a lot of spoilers. Both Fear and Hunger games are basically randomizers that allow for thousands of hours of play, but depending on how you play, it will absolutely be punishing for the first 20 hours or so. But when you get your bearings, and like any good randomizer, this is a game you can easily go back in and out of when you're in the mood to do so. And that's how amazing I think this game is. I haven't even touched on most of the story because most of the character events happen on the second and third day. The events changing depending on who is left in the game. I even forgot to mention the character intros that are so well written and detailed, it gives you a wonderful glimpse of the struggles, tragedy, hopes, dreams, aspirations, and goals that led these characters to prevail. One of the intros was even so detailed, it gives you an option to read a summary. And I must recommend that you read the whole thing. It took me 30 minutes and I enjoyed every bit of that introduction. As I or any other. Most of it will mesh with other experience other people make, but it will create an experience that is solely on your own. Because knowing things is half of what Fear and Hunger is, and having the opportunity to apply the knowledge that you already have is the other half of what this game excels at the most. The problem I eventually encountered in Fear and Hunger 2 was because of my stubborn frustration. The changes I made in the run were very small, ranging from not picking a dialogue option or leaving a character behind or skipping to one day. It took too much time doing the same thing, and I accidentally played 5 or more playthroughs of Termina with just one character and almost eventually burnt out of it. And that goes against how my brain wants me to play and enjoy a video game. Because I am the kind of person who tries a lot of characters and builds. I do not like sticking with one weapon in Monster Hunter. I do not like playing 10 straight games of League of Legends with one character unless it's like a special game mode that ends in 15 minutes. Playing through Termina with one character over and over, trying to finish a run I already completed, gave me the thought of, man, I really wish I was playing as another character instead. I'm saying this because Fear and Hunger's formula is really good to the point that it really makes notes of actions you will try to do. Remember my first attempts in breaking into the city? Pocket Cat is at the back of the city when normally you'd find him in the intersection to the west side of the city. And I found that really cool. So, anyway, like I said, I skipped to the second day, and yes, I did not see August there. But on day 2, Henrik dies, and if you didn't save Abella, she'll die on the first day. So regardless, I have no idea how to save every other contestant with any character except Abella. I am a bit upset I wasn't able to fully save everyone with Dan because man, that guy really needs a win, and I'm not the best at the game yet, and apparently you can use golden gates to bypass some areas in the game, and you have to have a total of 240 attack to break metal gates. But yeah, I burnt myself out of the game, and that's to no one's fault but mine. I went back to the Steam community page of Termina again, and I'm kind of glad I wasn't the only one who wanted to save all of the characters. This is one of the other things I picked up while watching videos of Funger. The characters are so fleshed out. They have their own reasons for being on that train that led them to Preheville, and reading through the intros gives you a lot of insight on who they are. The videos, the community page, kind of shows how great the community of Fear and Hunger is. The community that I stumbled into. The community of people who exposes themselves to intense graphic horrors, who are made out of talented and passionate people, who in suffering strive to do good for themselves. They kind of prove rare wrong that a lot of people aren't what they suffer from or what they hide or what terrible things people perceive them to be. That people kind of just want to live their own lives at their own terms, regardless of what others think of them.
That people are just people.
Hey, I hope you're doing well. Have a great day.